frogs ever. Number 12, the turtle frog. This strange-looking frog can be found living in the Perth region of Western Australia between the Fitzgerald River and the city of Geraldton. Why does it look so strange, you might ask? Well, at first glance, this frog might actually confuse some people for being a turtle that's missing its shell, rather than being a frog. It's the only species in its genus, and it also displays a behavior that most frogs don't normally portray. Instead of digging backwards, the turtle frog is able to dig forwards by using its muscular forearms to burrow into the ground. Another unique trait is that the offspring completely skip the tadpole stage and emerge as fully formed frogs. Number 11, the long-nosed horned frog. Also referred to as the Malayan horned frog, you'll find the species of frog dwelling in the rainforest of southern Thailand and all the way to Singapore. These frogs are able to camouflage very well thanks to their brown color patterns that allow them to blend in and look like leaves. Its eyelids, along with its snout, are shaped into triangular projections that take on the appearance of horns, which is how their names were given to them. The horned frogs like to wait on the forest floor for their next meal to come along and will pounce on anything that gets too near it, such as spiders, small rodents, and even other frogs. Number 10, the Brazilian horned frog, found only in the forest of Brazil. These frogs live in a multitude of environments that the forests provide. Just like the horned frog, the Brazilian horned frog has a large mouth that almost makes up half of its entire body and is also considered equally aggressive. The frogs are capable of being up to 8 inches long and blend into their surroundings quite well, mimicking the look of fallen leaves. They're also known for their big appetites, and they'll pretty much eat anything that moves past them. Careful where you step, mate. They'll even strike at human feet. Some frogs have even been found suffocated with prey in their mouth that was too big. Number 9, the pouched frog. The pouched frog is an inhabitant of the rainforest near the southeastern region of Queensland and also in the northern area of New South Wales, Australia. They only grow to be 2.5 centimeters big, and unlike most frogs, they don't come equipped with any type of webbing on their feet, though their toes are notably swollen. What makes these frogs weirdly special is that they have these pockets near their hips, and that's where they carry their young. When the offspring hatches into tadpoles, they make their way onto the pouches of their father and will develop inside until fully formed. Only half the tadpoles will make it into the pouches, and the other half will sadly die off. Number 8, the rainbow burrowing frog, known for the distinctive color patterns of white, red, greens, black, and browns. The rainbow burrowing frog can only be found living in the Salo Massif in Madagascar. It's here that the species has both adapted to a climbing and underground lifestyle, which is uncommon for frogs as they are normally suited for just one and not both. The rainbow burrowing frog is scientifically classified as endangered because of habitat loss, sapphire mining, and timber extraction. However, the major threat to the population is being snatched up by poachers for the pet trade. Unfortunately, it's estimated that thousands of these frogs are collected yearly. Number 7, the purple frog. Deemed as the ugliest frog in the world, the purple frog luckily spends most of its life burrowed deep into the grounds of India. It's true, these frogs only emerge once a year during the monsoon season in order to mate and will return to the earth until it's time for them to repeat the cycle once more. Because of all their time submerged underground, it makes it quite difficult to study this species, and the adults weren't formally described until 2003, even though the tadpoles had already been described all the way back to 1918. Number 6, the Wallace's flying frog. Belonging to the family of moss frogs, Wallace's flying frog is native to the regions of western Indonesia and the Malay Peninsula. It's named after a biologist whose name was Alfred R. Wallace, and he was the one to collect the first specimen of this species to be identified. These frogs don't actually fly, but rather glide from tree to tree, thanks to the help from the webbing on their 4 feet. They can even glide up to a distance of 50 feet and stick to trees as they land because of the extra soft padding on their toes. Their diet consists of insects, and they commonly fall prey to tree-climbing snakes. Number 5, the Indian bullfrog. These colorful frogs can be found living in Myanmar, to Nepal, and even in Madagascar, where they're recognized as an invasive species thanks to their introduction to the island. Indian bullfrogs aren't always actually this colorful. For most of the year, they're actually a dull greenish color, but once the mating season comes around, it's only the males that turn bright yellow and have indigo vocal sacs. If fancy bright colors aren't enough to impress you, then go look up some videos where they'll entertain you with their singing. Number 4, the Venezuelan pebble toad. This subspecies of frog is endemic to the region of Venezuela, where it lives in a very restricted range, thus resulting in it being classified as vulnerable. These tiny little frogs only grow to be about an inch if they're lucky, lucky, but that's not why they're called pebble toads. It's actually because of their unique ability that allows them to evade predators. If they sense that one is near, they will tense up all the muscles in their body into a rigid state and literally throw themselves off steep slopes to get away, since they're unable to hop. Number 3. The Suriname toad. Also known by the name Peepa Peepa. The Suriname toad is a species of frog that grows around 7 inches and can be found living in the tropical rainforest of the Amazon. It can be recognized by a few of its distinguishable features that include an almost flat body, small eyes while also lacking a tongue and a set of teeth. Unlike a majority of small frogs that use their vocal sacs to produce mating calls, the Suriname toad emits a high-pitched clicking sound by hitting together 2 bones in its throat. That's not the weirdest thing about this frog. The females actually carry their eggs under a layer of skin on their back, and when it's time, the babies come bursting out as fully formed frogs. Number 2. The Goliath frog. Goliath frogs currently carry the title of the largest living frog species on Earth. Unlike other species of frog, the Goliath frog lacks any type of vocal sac and nubital pads whatsoever, which means they are unable to produce any mating calls. These frogs tend to be captured as pets and are widely eaten in certain parts of Africa, which have led the species to be labeled as endangered. Because of their conservation status, even the Equatorial Guinean government has stepped in to only allow 300 of these frogs to be exported every year.
And now for number 1. But first, be sure to subscribe for new videos every day.
Darwin's frog. Found in the forest regions of Chile and Argentina, this species of frog was first recorded back in 1841 and named after Charles Darwin, who had previously discovered it. At first glance, Darwin's frog might not seem at all that weird on the outside, but it's what's on the inside that counts. An interesting ability that the males of the species are capable of performing is that they care for their young by swallowing them. While still in the embryonic stage, the father will swallow the eggs and care for them in his vocal sac. After a few days, when they've developed past the tadpole stage, he'll spit out his fully formed frog babies.